Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Easy Learn. And today's topic is algebra, within which we're going to be doing expanding algebraic squares. To begin with, let's suppose if we have a square that is x minus 7 whole squared. Now, how do I solve this? Generally, people make a huge mistake in this that they just do x to the power of 2, and they just write down, okay, this is x squared and then minus 7 squared, which is 7 times 7 is 49. So I'm just going to write x squared minus 49 or plus 49, whatever they think it should be. And they just end up in this answer. This is absolutely wrong. You cannot have two terms from a square like this. Now, if I open it up, what does a square mean? If I have to do anything squared, let's say if I'm doing 2 squared basically means 2 times 2. Similarly, if I have x minus 7 and there's a bracket and it's a square, it means x minus 7 is being multiplied with itself. So x minus 7 times x minus 7. Now, let's suppose if I label these terms to something, let's say if I say A, B, C, and D. Now, if you have to you have to multiply brackets like these. We have also discussed it is in our previous video, how do we expand brackets like these. For that, you have to do, let's say this is my term A. So we have to do this term A times C. That's the very first step. Secondly, I have to do my term A again with my term D. So I'm going to do A times D. Then again, this is my B term, the second term. I'm going to do B times the C. And then again, the last term, the B with the D. So I'm going to do B times the D. Only when I do it that way, I am going to end up in the correct answer, which means I am supposed to end up in four terms, and later you're going to look at which, if any terms are like terms to each other, you add and subtract whatever is required, you do that, and then you end up in three final terms. So that's how you have to solve it. So to begin with, let's see. Now if I do, what's the first step? I have to do A times C. So on my A I have x, and on my C I have another x. So x times x gives me x squared. Secondly, I have to do A times D. So A is x, D is negative 7. So x times negative 7 is negative 7x. The third step, B times C. So B is negative 7, C is x again. So negative 7 times x. So again, negative 7 times x gives me negative 7x. And then the last step, B times D. So B times D, B is negative 7 and D is also negative 7. So negative 7 times negative 7 gives me positive 49, because negative multiplied with a negative always has to be a positive answer. So negative 7 times negative 7, 7 7 is 49. Negative times negative is a positive, so I have positive 49. So this is not complete yet. There's another step to this. Now, if you see, we have to move on to the simplifying part where we determine which ones are like terms and which ones are not. So if I look at it carefully, x squared does not have any identical to it. There is no other term that has a square with it, so which means x squared, I can just write it down the way it is. Similarly, 49. There is no other term that just has a number, only number attached with it. Everybody is different. So 49 also does not have a same family member, so I'm just going to put 49 the way it is. Now 7x and 7x, here there's a number, here there's a variable, here there's a number, here there's a variable. That means they belong to the same family, so I have to do negative 7x, negative 7x. Now in addition and subtraction, when we have two negatives, we add them up. And the sign stays. For the answer, the sign has to be negative. So if I'm going to do 7 plus 7, that gives me a 14. And because negative and negative, we add and the answer stays negative. So this positive 14 is going to turn into negative 14, because negative and negative, in addition and subtraction, it's the rule that you add the numbers but the sign stays negative. So I have x squared minus 14x. X just comes directly. So x squared minus 14x plus 49. So this is the final equation that you are supposed to end up in. You cannot have four terms. You cannot have just two terms like this way. You can't do that. You need to have three terms with it. So this is my final answer. Now there's one more way to solving this. What is the other way of solving it is that you might have heard of a square term that is something like this: a plus b whole squared. Okay, so whenever we have something like this, a plus b whole squared, we gotta be opening it up. We can't just do a squared plus b squared. This is wrong. Okay, similarly, I cannot do anything else. What I have to do is, it's again the same thing. If I open up a plus b, and again if I open up a plus b, because square means a plus b multiplied with each other. Again, if I do a times a, it's a squared, then a times b would be plus ab, then b times a again plus ab, and then b times b would be b squared. Now again, a squared doesn't have a like term, comes down the way it is. B squared doesn't have a like term, comes down the way it is. AB and AB, there's basically an invisible 1 here. They're both from the same family, so 1 plus 1 is 2, and AB just comes down, and the final equation is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, which means that if you have something like this and a square attached with it, you can simply solve it like that. You can just open it up saying a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. For example, coming to this question again, that is x minus 7 whole squared. Now, if you look at it, a plus b whole squared, x minus 7 whole squared, which means on place of my a, I have my x, and on place of my b, I have my 7. So if I want to open it up this way, I'm going to do a squared, which means on a I have x, so x times x, or x squared, and then I have plus 2ab, which means plus 2. A is what? It's x. B is what? It's negative 7. Close the bracket. And then plus b squared. So b is again negative 7 and whole squared. So x squared just comes down the way it is. Then 2 times x times negative 7. So 2 times 7 is 14. Plus times negative is positive with the negative, gives me a negative. And then times x. So 2 times 7, 14, plus 2 times negative 7 is a negative 14 times this x. So I have a negative 14x plus negative 7 squared means negative 7 times negative 7. Again, negative multiplied with a negative gives me a positive. So it's a positive 49. So this is my final answer. These two answers are exactly the same, which means that if I have a square like that, if I have a bracket and a square, either I do it this way, I open it up and go through all the process of simplifying and looking at the like terms and all of that, or I just simply do a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So that gives me this final answer quickly, quicker than the first step. Okay, now it really depends on how you understand. If this a plus b whole squared and a squared plus 2ab plus b squared is difficult for you, just go ahead, open it up, and then solve it. It's better to open up and go through the long process rather than getting the wrong answer or getting an answer like this. This is absolutely wrong. You can't do that. So it's just better to just open it up. If you are okay with it, if you're well versed, then you can use this a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, whichever you like. But these are the two methods of doing a question like that. Let's look at another example. So I have 2x squared plus 5 squared plus 5, 2x plus 5 whole squared. So again, if I open it up and go through the long process, then 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5. So 2x times 2x, 2 2's 4, x times x is x squared, so I have it like that. Then 2x times 5, 5 times 2 is 10, so that gives me a 10x. Again, 5 times 2 is 10, so I have another 10x, and then 5 times 5 is a 25. And if I open it, if I simplify, then 4x squared doesn't have a like term, just comes the way it is, plus 10x plus 10x. 10 plus 10 is 20, x and x just come down, so plus 20x, and 25 again doesn't have any like term, so my answer is 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. If I try to do the same thing, 2x plus 5 whole squared, in this way, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So if you look at it, on my a, I have 2x, so that means 2x squared plus 2ab means plus 2 times my a, that is 2x, plus times the b is 5, plus b squared, so that is 5 squared. Now 2x squared means 2 times 2 is 4 and then x squared. So I just have a 4x squared. Then 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 5, 20. And x just comes because for 20 times x is 20x. So I have 20x and then plus 5 square means 25. So this answer and this answer are completely the same. It's just two ways of doing it. Similarly, if I have this one, 2a plus 4b. So 2a plus 4b, if you multiply them like that, you open up. So again, the first term with the third term, 2 times 2 is 4, and a times a squared. Again, the first term with the fourth term, so 2a plus 4b, 2a times 4b, which means 2 times 4 is 8. So I'm just going to write 8. A times b is ab. Similarly, 4, now this time 4, the second term with the first term here, or the third term you can say. 4 times 2 again is 8. B times A, again I can write it down as AB. Now 4B plus 4B squared. So 4 times 4 is 16. B times B, which means B squared. So this gives me plus 16B squared. Now 4A squared just stays the way it is. Now 8 and 8, 8 plus 8 is 16. So I'm just going to write plus 16AB and plus 16B squared. So this is going to be my final answer. If I try doing the same thing, 2a plus 4b squared in this way, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So I have 2a whole squared plus 2 times 2a times the b, that is my 4b, plus b squared, that is 4b and a square. So 2 times 2 is 4, and a squared, a times a is a squared, so 4a squared, and then 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 4, 16, 16 times a, 16 times b, so 16 times a times b gives me plus 16ab plus 4 squared, 4 times 4, 16, b times b, b squared. So again, 16b squared. So this one and this one are the same. They're just two different ways of doing it. Now the next question is, now this is a long question, which is the same thing, but in the end you will just have a few like terms and unlike terms and you have to simplify. Now let's try and open it up. So x plus 6 whole squared. Now again, it's your wish the way you want to do it. So x plus 6 whole squared, which means that x plus 6, another x plus 6, then we have a plus sign in between, and then I have 2x minus 3, and again another 2x minus 3. Then I have a negative sign, then I'm going to put it in brackets just so that we don't end up making mistakes. Whenever there is negative sign outside a bracket, just it's better to put everything inside a bracket, inside a box bracket, a bigger bracket, so that you don't get confused in the end. Now there's an x plus 4 whole squared, which means x plus 4 times x plus 4. Now to solve this, x times x, again x squared, x times 6 is 6x, then 6 times x again, 6x, and then 6 times 6 is 36. And then let me just simplify this first. So x squared plus 6 plus 6 is 12x plus 36. Now this is one part of my equation done. Then I have a plus sign, and then after that I have this. So 2x times 2x, 2 times 2 is 4. So I just have 4x squared. X and x is x squared. Now 2x times negative 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Positive times negative is negative. So I have negative 6x. Again, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6 times x. Again, another negative 6x. And then negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Now if I write it down the way, 4x squared minus 6 times minus 6 means I have to add them up. 6 plus 6 is 12, but the sign stays negative. So negative 12x plus 9. Now there's a minus sign, and inside now I'm going to solve this one. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Another 4 times x, which is 4x. Another 4 times 4, which is 16. And then I have a minus sign here. X squared, now these both are like terms, so x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now is the time that I open up everything and I solve it I simplify. So x squared plus 12x plus 36, then there's a plus sign, 4x squared. So I have a plus 4x squared minus 12x, this comes the way it is, plus 9. Now I have a negative sign. Now negative times a positive is negative x squared, and then negative times positive again is negative 8x, then negative times positive 16 is again negative 16. Now here's the game. Now this step is very important in order to get the final correct answer. Now is equal to, now you have to look for the like terms. Now do I have a like term with the x squared? Yes, I do. X squared, 4x squared, and minus x squared. So if I do x plus 4, that is 5x squared, and then 5 minus 1 is 4x squared. Or I can just simply do x squared minus x squared. So it's like 1 minus 1 is 0. So anyway, I end up with 4x squared. I'm just going to cut this off. So x squared minus x squared, 0. And then I'm remaining with 4x squared. Now the next one is the x. That is 12x here. So do I have a like term with the 12x? Yes, I do. So I have positive 12x, negative 12x, negative 8x. So 12, positive 12, negative 12, again, 12 minus 12 is a 0, goes away, and then I'm left with a negative 8x. Or if you want to try, you can also do positive 12, negative 8, so that gives me a 4. And then again, 4 minus 12 would give me negative 8. So I end up in negative 8x. Then the last part, that is, now do I have a like term to 36? Yes, I do. I have 36 and the 9 and the 16. So I have 36 plus 9 minus 16. That gives me something like 29. 36 plus 9 gives me 45, and then 45 minus 16 gives me 29. Because 36 is a bigger number, has positive, so I end up in a positive answer. So 36 plus 9 gave me 45, 45 minus 16, or you can do the other way around, 36 minus 16, so that would give me 20, and then 20 plus 9 would again give me 29. So this is my final answer, 4x squared minus 8x plus 29. Either ways, either you do a squared plus 2ab squared, that one, or you do it this way, you open up everything, you have to end up in this answer. Even when you're doing that way, then you will have this step here right away. If you do a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, you'll get to this step directly, and then from here you have to again open it up and then solve the like terms and then get to the conclusion, the final answer, that is 4x squared minus 8x plus 29. So this is how you end up in your answers. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, any confusions, you can drop them down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching Easy Learn. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care of yourselves until next time.